Let the quiet speak for you now. Let the shadows hold your strength. I couldn't sleep that night. The air felt too heavy, and the moonlight slipped through the blinds like it was carrying a bitter truth. So I rose, walked barefoot to the kitchen, and poured a glass of water. No purpose, just a motion to quiet the ache in my chest that no longer had a name. That's when I heard it, faint, almost imperceptible. A creak, not from the floorboards, but from somewhere deep within me, like my soul shifted under its own weight. I froze, breath held tight, music, nothing but the hum of silence. And even that felt deafening that night. I told myself it was nothing, just the usual spiral of thoughts, memories scratching at the edges of my mind. Ghosts of words left unsaid, conversations that never found peace, the nightly torment we all know too well. I turned toward the hallway and caught my reflection in the glass. Weary eyes, sunken cheeks, a face that once knew how to smile before the world taught it to stop. Hush, little pain, don't make a sound. The Joker's here to show what they've earned. I wasn't singing. The words echoed in my mind, or maybe they didn't. They felt too vivid, too familiar. That twisted lullaby carried the same tune I used to hum when I was fighting to hold myself together. I hadn't heard it in years, not out loud, and certainly not from the fractures in my own thoughts. That's when I sat down, finally, and let the truth flood in like cold rain through a shattered window pane. Let me tell you something, friend. That night, that moment of stillness, was the first time I understood. If you let this moment slip, this very silence, you'll carry that regret forever. Because sometimes, silence isn't the enemy. Sometimes it's the only ally that speaks the truth without softening it, without pretending to care, just to abandon you later. That's silence. Music. It's the one that stays when everyone else fades away. I know you're sitting there right now, feeling the weight, like the world's been gnawing at your bones. Every time you try to rise, someone knocks you down, but you're still here, still breathing. That means something. It means you're stronger than whatever tried to break you. So don't waste it. Don't let the last ember in your chest flicker out, even if it's barely glowing. Listen closely, really listen. This moment, this quiet breaking, is life's final warning before it either shapes you or buries you. What you choose now will be remembered or forgotten based on who you become next. Have you ever sat in a crowded room and still felt like you were suffocating? Like the air itself was mocking you, laughing at you, not with you? That's the part no one talks about. The moment you realize you don't fit into this world the way others do. Music. Your smile feels different. Your tears fall quieter. When you bleed, no one notices the stain. You hold it all inside, don't you? All that pain. You bury it behind a forced laugh, an empty, "I'm fine," as if anyone ever truly cared. But here's the truth. That silence within you isn't weakness. It's the tension before the explosion. If you miss the moment to release it, to channel it right, it'll consume you. It'll erode you from the inside until you're left wondering why no one sees the ghost you've become, drifting through rooms where you were never truly seen. You gave your all, your time, your heart, your loyalty, even your dreams. And what did they do? They treated you like a spare part, used when needed, then tossed back when the road got smooth. You call that love. That's not love, friend. That's a transaction. That's your blood traded for their convenience. You showed up every time they needed you. But where were they when your world was burning? When you needed someone someone to see you, to choose you. They vanished like smoke, and you sat there, convincing yourself you were the problem. You weren't. They were just too blind to see the treasure running through your veins. One day, when that treasure turns to steel, they'll call your name into the void. But by then, you'll be gone. The loudest cries are the ones no one hears. They're trapped behind a quiet person's eyes, unnoticed until something shatters. And when it does, oh, it breaks everything. No one traces back to what caused it. They'll blame your anger, your walls, your transformation, but they never look far enough to see who built those walls with their betrayal, who poured the foundation with their lies. You trusted vipers, and now you know the sting of venom in your heart. But that poison, it's a gift. It teaches you to survive without their cures, to forge your own strength, your own silence, a silence that doesn't seek revenge, but becomes it. If you miss this moment to rise, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. I'm not talking about a fairy tale comeback. I'm talking about becoming so unbreakable, so unshaken that even your scars stop aching. You think pain is a punishment? Number. It's permission. Permission to let go, to rebuild, to rediscover who you were before the world sank its claws into you, before love became a bargain, before your value was up for debate. Look in the mirror and see the one thing they tried to extinguish, your fire. They feared it. That's why they mocked you, manipulated you, kept you small. They knew music. If you ever healed the right way, you'd be unstoppable, unrecognizable, and deep down, they never wanted to meet that version of you. But I do. Ever wonder why people only see your worth when you stop clinging to them like they're your lifeline? It's strange, isn't it? When you were pleading for their time, their presence, their effort, they treated you like static, background noise. But the moment you pull back, the moment your silence rings louder than your love ever did, they panic, they scramble, they remember. Because silence, my friend, is a brutal teacher. It doesn't shout. It doesn't explain, it just exists. And in that void, they're forced to face everything they ignored, everything they broke, everything they took for granted until it was too late. That's when the regrets creep in, like shadows in a storm. But you're still caught in the flames, aren't you? Still trying to make sense of how someone could claim to love you and then vanish like love was a borrowed coat. Still untangling their mixed signals, their hollow promises, their late-night lies wrapped in soft tones. Let me hit you with something raw and real. Some people were never confused. They just didn't care as much as you did. That's the truth. You keep trying to dress it up with excuses, but they saw your worth. They just never thought you'd see it too. And that's where the game changes. When you stop begging to be noticed and start moving like the ghost they made you. Music. That's when the tide turns. You think I became this way by chance? Number. I was shattered, betrayed, left to decay in rooms I built for people who only came to rest, not to stay. People who used my kindness like a free pass and my silence like consent. I kept giving, hoping they'd see my heart was real. But they didn't. Not until I vanished. Not until my silence started choking them the way they once choked my hope. That's the game, friend. And if you don't learn to play it, you'll keep losing. Over and over. So, let me make it clear. You're not here to fix people who keep breaking you. You're not here to explain yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. You're not here to pour into cups that never once filled yours. You've done enough. You've given enough. Now it's time to be enough for yourself. Music. No more pleading. No more apologizing. No more shrinking to make others comfortable in your light. The version of you that wants to go back, to fix things, to prove you're worth loving, that version has to die. Yes, I said it. It has to die. Because if you keep dragging that broken self through life, hoping they'll finally see what they ignored, you're just handing them the same blade and asking for a new wound. It doesn't work that way. You've got to bury who you were and build who you were meant to be. Alone if you must, silent if you have to, but strong, sharp, and focused. The world won't hand you peace. It hands you problems. The most dangerous version of you is the one that stops needing validation, stops chasing closure, stops asking why. That version is lethal because you no longer speak to prove anything. You don't cry to be seen. You don't stay to be chosen. You just walk away. No scene, no words. And that kills them. They were used to your noise, your check-ins, your "Are you okay?" texts, your forgiveness, your presence. They took it for granted, thought it was permanent, thought you were permanent. So when you went quiet, they didn't know how to function. That's when they realized you were the anchor in their chaos. But you were too busy holding everyone else together to notice you were falling apart. They say you've changed. No, you just stopped tolerating disrespect. You stopped excusing betrayal in the name of love. You stopped trying when the door was already slammed shut. You didn't change. You evolved. You became someone who guards their peace like it's sacred, because it is. Now, they don't know how to reach you. They don't know what to say because the old script doesn't work anymore. You burned it quietly while they weren't looking, while they thought you were still stuck. But you're not stuck. You're strategic. And silence, oh, silence is the greatest strategy of all. When you go silent, people have to face themselves. They can't twist your words, can't gaslight you, can't project their chaos onto you. That's why silence is terrifying. It's a mirror they can't break, a room they can't leave. It echoes their guilt louder than any argument ever could. And you become the villain in their story, not because you hurt them, but because you stopped letting them hurt you. They can't stand that you stopped dancing to their tune, stopped playing the fool, stopped forgiving just to make them feel better. Now, they're left to sit with everything they did while pretending you were too much. This road won't be easy. You'll wake up some mornings missing people who treated you like an afterthought. You'll replay conversations wishing you'd said more or less, but in the noise of your mind, remember this: you survived what was meant to destroy you, not just emotionally, but spiritually, mentally. You survived. That's not small. That's power. Quiet power. And now you gotta use it. Because if you miss this moment to rise, you'll look back one day and regret spending years trying to prove your worth to people who saw it but chose to ignore it. You'll regret not cutting ties sooner, not moving in silence, not choosing yourself first. And trust me, regret cuts deeper than any heartbreak. So stay silent, stay dangerous, stay unavailable. Watch what happens next. They always come back. Not because they've changed, but because your absence stings like a wound. At first, they don't notice. They think you'll return, forgive, stay soft. But days turn to weeks, weeks to months, and your name stops coming from your lips and starts haunting their thoughts. Every quiet night, every empty room, every fake smile they wear while pretending you didn't matter. That's when they remember. They recall your loyalty, your presence, the softness no one else had the patience for. And now, it's gone. They can't unfeel the void you left. Your silence wasn't just an escape. It was your transformation. In that stillness, you found strength they swore you didn't have. In that loneliness, you became your own foundation. In the darkness they abandoned you in, you grew claws. Now they don't recognize you. They reach for the old you, the one who stayed, who begged, who broke. But that version is dead, buried under the pain they caused. The version standing now doesn't play their games, doesn't explain, doesn't chase. Here you are, at the edge of it all, caught between who you were and who you're becoming. It's tempting to go back, to answer that text, to believe the apology, to try one last time. But listen, that bridge is burned. You just haven't accepted it yet. Going back won't bring peace. It'll restart the cycle. Same pain, different day. They weren't sorry. They were shocked you left. They didn't think you'd choose yourself, but you did. And that choice, that silence, is what they'll never recover from. Nothing haunts more than the version of you they couldn't destroy, the one that healed without them, that turned their absence into fuel. So walk slowly, silently, not to prove anything, not to make them jealous, but because the journey back to yourself is the only one that matters. Music. Peace isn't about forgiveness, it's about freedom. You've tasted it. Don't ruin it by speaking. Don't ruin it by turning back. Keep walking. Let them drown in the echoes of everything they never said. Because if you miss this chance to rise, if you break your silence for the wrong people, if you open the door to the same storm that shattered you, you'll regret it more than anything. There's a strange peace when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop handing out your heart like a street flyer, hoping someone will care enough to keep it. Most people aren't looking for depth. They want comfort, distraction, something temporary to fill the cracks in their own minds. When you show up with your loyalty, your truth, your fire, they flinch. You're not convenient. You're a mirror, reflecting everything they're not ready to face. That's why they run. That's why they hurt you. Not because you were too much, but because you were real. And real terrifies those who live behind masks, so don't dim your light to be palatable for people who can't handle your silence. Don't tame your fire to warm those who flee when it burns. Don't break yourself into pieces to fit places you were never meant to belong. Let them choke on your absence. Let them taste life without the one who would have walked through fire to keep them safe in a storm. If they miss you, good. Let it burn. You don't owe them closure or access. You owe yourself peace, healing, your comeback. And oh, that comeback. They never saw it coming. They thought your silence meant defeat. Your absence meant surrender. They thought you were gone because you couldn't handle it. But you left because you finally saw your worth. Your silence was your declaration. The game is over, and this time you win. The world won't pause for your pain. It won't offer a hand just because you're weary. It'll keep spinning, chewing up those who can't stand tall. If you don't toughen up now, you'll end up back where they left you, on your knees, begging the sky for answers that never come. Take this silence, this loneliness, this darkness, and build with it. You don't need their love. You need your own respect. Sometimes you've got to walk away in silence to hear yourself again because you've been lost in their chaos for too long. They'll call you cold, distant, arrogant. Let them. Let them tell tales about the version of you they broke, because they'll never meet the version you've become. That version doesn't need permission, apologies, or revenge. It just moves, unapologetic, untouchable, unstoppable. If you go soft now, if you answer that late-night text hoping it's real, if you break your silence for one more chance, you'll fall back into the grave they dug for you. And no one crawls out twice. They knew you were rare from the start. They felt it in how you listened, how you stayed, how you gave even when you had nothing left. But people don't always want what's real. Real requires effort, presence, courage, so they take it, use it, and when it demands something back, they disappear. Don't ever believe they didn't see your worth. They did. That's why they tried to dim it, to keep you small, to stand taller in your shadow. You thought love meant endurance, that holding on would change them, that your loyalty would wake them up. You were wrong. Love without effort is manipulation. They gave just enough to keep you hoping, to keep you quiet, to keep you from walking away, until one day you saw the truth. They never planned to stay. They just didn't want you to leave first. Now, you have a choice. You can stay the one who waits, who wonders, who breaks in silence, hoping they'll hear you. Or you can become the one who makes them lose sleep, who makes them scroll through old memories at 2 a.m., regretting the warmth they abandoned. Not for revenge, but because your silence forced them to feel what you carried every night while they pretended nothing was wrong. Silence teaches you who notices when you go quiet, who cares enough to ask, "Are you okay?" when you stop showing up. That list is shorter than you think, painfully short, and that's the truth. Sometimes silence speaks louder than love, louder than every "I'm here for you" that lacked action, louder than every promise made in sunlight and broken in the dark. So wear your silence like armor. Let it shield you from the lies, the games, the noise of the past. Your presence is now a privilege, not a punishment. You're not the fixer, the chaser, the fool anymore. Music. You're the ghost they can't forget, the echo of a love they'll never find again, the lesson, the loss, the one who walked away and never looked back. If you miss this moment, this rebirth, you'll stay trapped in their cycle, always giving, always hoping, always bleeding for people who never learned to clean up their mess. So don't miss it. Your silence isn't the end. It's the warning and the beginning. They'll try to rewrite the story, paint you as the one who gave up, the one who was too much, but you know the truth. You were there. You carried their weight, smiled through pain, forgave what broke you. And when you needed someone, there was only silence. Not the good kind, but the kind that claws at your soul and whispers, "You're not enough." That lie isn't yours. It was planted by people too blind to see your power. When you stop begging for scraps, they love the version of you that needed them, that stayed small to be loved. But this version, the quiet, calm, calculating one, the one with nothing left to lose, terrifies them. You're not afraid of being alone anymore. You're not waiting for closure or apologies. You move like a ghost with purpose. And ghosts don't need validation. They haunt quietly, permanently. You became the silence they tried to bury you in, the void they left you in. Now it's yours. Your absence speaks louder than your words ever could. Don't let that fire die. I know you're tired, your hands scarred from holding on to people who didn't deserve you. I know your heart is heavy. But this pain isn't here to break you. It's here to wake you, the old you. The one who gave too much, stayed too long, cried too quietly, is gone. Let them mourn that version. Let them miss it. Let them wish they'd treated you better. But you've got a new path now, one that doesn't involve proving your worth to those too blind to see it. The silence was your closure. The distance was your lesson. The pain was your teacher. So let them talk. Let them lie. Let them wonder why you went cold. They'll say you changed, that you're heartless, that you just walked away. But you didn't walk away. You listened to the silence screaming, and you answered. You were their blessing, their calm, their safe place. You stayed through their chaos, their disrespect, their war. And still, they left. They made you feel like the problem. But it was never about you being too much. It was about them being too little. They didn't ruin you by accident. They ruined you because they couldn't handle your depth in a world obsessed with shallow connections. Now they scroll through your memories in silence, guilt in their throats, missing you not because they found love, but because they felt the loss. That's the beauty of silence. It gives you distance, and distance brings clarity, and clarity brings power. Revenge isn't loud. It's not shouting or exposing them. It's building in silence, thriving in peace, succeeding without announcement. It's walking past them one day, calm, untouchable, and watching their regret twist in silence. You didn't just survive their absence, you thrived because of it. Your silence is now the most dangerous thing. You speak only when necessary. You don't respond to chaos. You're no longer available to those who treat emotions like a game. When they realize the door is closed, truly closed, your silence will hurt them quietly, slowly, every day. So don't break now. Don't soften. Don't answer that "I miss you" text. You don't owe them the old you, the one who bled behind a smile. That person served their time. Now you walk free. If you miss this moment, if you apologize for your silence, if you lower your voice to comfort those who broke it, you'll regret it forever. This silence rewires you, burns away the illusions, the fake smiles, the need to be understood. This version of you doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't shrink. They miss the control, the certainty that you'd always show up, always forgive, always bleed quietly while they blamed you for needing light. But your stillness terrifies them now. It's intentional. It says, "I've seen enough. I've felt enough. I am enough." They hoped you'd never figure that out, but you did. Now they pace through old memories like crime scenes, wondering where they lost you. Was it the lie, the silence, the selfishness? It wasn't one moment. It was every moment. They ignored your pain, made you question your worth, let you cry alone while they slept soundly. Forgiveness isn't always words. Sometimes it's distance, silence, moving forward without looking back. You're forgiving yourself for staying too long, loving too hard, not walking away sooner. That's the healing that matters. Saving yourself, protecting the pieces they couldn't hold. Don't fall for the late-night texts, the fake apologies, the "I've changed" speeches. Change doesn't happen overnight, and pain isn't erased with sweet words. Watch their actions, or better yet, watch your silence speak louder than anything they say. Silence doesn't lie. It doesn't beg. It stands tall, unbothered, undefeated. If you speak now, you undo that strength. If you go back, you restart the cycle. And this time, it won't end in heartbreak. It'll end in regret. The kind that lingers in your bones when you realize you betrayed your own growth for someone who never listened. Stay silent. Stay dangerous. Because if you miss this, you'll regret it forever. There's a quiet moment when you realize you don't want them back, not because the love is gone, but because you've changed. The version of you that craved their voice, broke for their attention, twisted in pain, waiting for their effort. That version is dead. Silence killed it, not in hate, but in acceptance. That's the most powerful death of all. When you stop needing the apology, stop rehearsing what you'd say if they returned, stop dreaming of fixing what they never fought for, that's when you rise. That's when you become untouchable. Real strength isn't loud. It's walking away without explanation. It's peace on your face when you delete their message unread. It's not reacting when they test your silence with crumbs, because they will test you. They sense the shift, the space where your chaos once orbited them, so they send a text, a memory, a midnight call, not to love you, but to see if you're still available to hurt. Give them nothing. They don't miss the real you. They miss the access, the convenience, the way you poured your soul into their emptiness and called it love. But they never met the new you, the quiet one, the one who values silence over validation. Now that you're gone, they realize the storm wasn't you. It was them. The silence you left behind is the aftermath of their destruction. Let it hurt. Let it break you. Let it push you to the edge. But don't go back. Don't forget how it felt when they didn't miss you at all. You remember waiting for a message that never came, lowering your voice, your standards, your self-respect for the illusion of connection. And what did it get you? Silence. Distance, disrespect. So now you return the favor, not with hate, but with indifference. That burns deeper than rage. Music. They'll spin the story, make you the villain, say you changed. They'll never mention the nights you cried in silence, praying for them to see you. They'll never admit how they made you beg without saying a word. Let them talk. You've said everything with your silence. If you break it now, if you open the door one more time, you'll be the one haunted. The cruelest part isn't the betrayal or the lies. It's realizing they never planned to stay. Every forever was a placeholder. You were their backup plan, dressed up as a soulmate. That's what kills you. Not what they did, but how easily they walked away while your world cracked open. You blamed yourself, thought if you were quieter, stronger, less you, they'd have stayed. They weren't confused. They were comfortable, knowing you'd keep coming back. They pushed to see if you'd shatter, and you did, quietly, alone. But breaking teaches you. Silence listens. Pain builds. They thought they buried you, but you were a seed. You grew in darkness, in silence, without their applause. Now that you're taller, wiser, colder, they don't recognize you because they never saw you, just what they could take from you. Now they panic, itching to return, not for love, but for control, for the comfort they lost. But you learned the most dangerous lesson, normal. The silence they ignored is now the silence they can't escape. It haunts their nights, their failed connections, their empty hands. They sit in the house they built on your pain, wondering when it slipped away, why their heart feels so loud in a room that once echoed with your laughter. It's not your job to explain. You begged, pleaded, cried, opened your chest, and they took it with careless hands. Now you owe them nothing, no closure, no kindness, no conversation. Your silence is the final word, the warning sign. If you miss this chance to choose yourself, if you let them back in, if you mistake nostalgia for love, you'll bleed in silence again. And next time, you might not make it out. Applause. Nobody tells you healing is lonely. Rising hurts, not like falling, which is loud and chaotic. Rising is quiet. The stillness after the storm, where you're left to gather the pieces of the person they discarded. No applause, no hand to hold, just you and the silence. At first, Peace feels like emptiness. No noise, no drama, just quiet. And in that quiet, you see the truth. You never needed them. You just didn't know your strength until they forced you to find it. They'll call your silence cold, say you've changed, that you're not you anymore. They're right. The version of you that took the blame, that settled for crumbs, that waited for bare minimums to feel like love, that version died when you looked in the mirror and said, I'm done. Done explaining, justifying, hurting yourself for people who'd never bandaged your wounds. Silence gave you clarity, the difference between what you deserved and what you accepted. Now, they'll spin their stories, whisper their regrets, replay your voice in their heads, and tell themselves they didn't know what they had. But they did. They just didn't think you'd leave. Strong people break quietly, behind closed doors. But when we leave forever, without looking back. Your silence isn't punishment. It's protection. It says, I'm not angry. I'm done. So stop answering. Stop giving. Stop handing out your soul to people who only show up when they're starving. Rebuild. Get colder, smarter, quieter. Build a life so full, so calm, so untouchable that those who walked away can't find you anymore. You never belonged in their chaos. If they ask why you changed, why you went silent, just smile. No explanation, no bitterness, just silence. Let them drown in the answers they ignored when you were still speaking. Let them feel the distance in the quiet they created. Let them miss you in the spaces they left empty. Because if you break your silence now, if you soften for someone who shattered you, if you forget how far you've come just to feel loved again, you won't rebuild this time. They'll move on, as they always do, while you wonder why you didn't stay gone. So stay gone. Stay cold. Stay silent. Because if you miss this, you'll regret it forever.